I'm not the house of cards that falls down easily. Oh, I'm strong enough to handle what you throw at me.
Welcome to Mental Health News Radio. I'm your host, Kristin Sunanta Walker. Just what are we going to discuss? The intimacy that is mental health. Let's continue to make it as comfortable as discussing brain health or heart health. This show has been on the air for several years, and we have amazing co-hosts. And then we created a network of podcasters on mentalhealthnewsradionetwork.com, a place where every possible facet of mental well-being can be talked about openly. My show, after several hundred interviews, the format is this: intimate, deep, funny, touching, sometimes uncomfortable, but always vulnerable conversations with interesting people. The goal is to have you, our listening family, many of you who have become my good friends, feel as though you are listening in on private conversations. Thank you for tuning in and becoming part of this amazing journey with me, and now with our network of podcasters. Just knowing this podcast might be helping any of you realize you are not alone on this journey called being a human being makes doing this podcast worth every second.
After all, we promised we'd be cordial.
Hello, listeners. We have a wonderful guest today. Dr. Parvinder Shergill is a producer, actress, filmmaker, and many other things. And she's also a doctor. So we're going to talk to her today about why she wears 18,000 hats. Hello.
Hi, I love that introduction.
Because I wear that many hats too. So as you know.
I follow your lead.
Well, I don't know about that. First, tell us, in terms of, I don't know if you want to follow my lead, but anyway, tell us about the doctor part. What are you a doctor of?
So I'm a doctor in mental health. It's funny, I actually fell into mental health. Originally, I was going to do surgery in obstetrics and gynecology, and then very impulsively changed very last minute, which was the best move. And then I've been in mental health since 2014. And specifically, I'm currently working with children and adolescents.
Okay. Are you an MD or a PhD?
Oh, we don't have the MDs
right.
in the UK, so I'm an MBBS. No, yeah. So I'm not a PhD. No, so I trained in medical school and then got my qualifications as a psychiatrist postgraduate. Yeah, but I haven't done a PhD. I've always thought of doing one, but I just feel like I'm at that age. I don't know if I can take any more information in. Be honest.
Well, that and you're doing those 18,000 things.
Yeah,
that require you to be CEO, showrunner, executive producer, actress, script
coffee
writer.
runner. Yeah.
It's coffee runner, exactly. Trash can taker, outer, all those things. Makeup and hair person. Yeah.
Pet mom. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's your day job, I would say, even though you probably work hours too. Okay. So you do that. And what made you get into doing film work, and talk a little bit about what that film work is?
Yeah. So I've actually always wanted to do acting and filmmaking since I was a little girl, and I was always actually planning to do that when I hit 18, and I was planning to go to New York and pursue acting. And then I don't know, I think 18 is such a strange, I think it's quite a stressful time because it really makes you think about your future. And then I had a really long think, and I was like, because I'm British Indian, and even though for me like ethnicity or gender does not matter, but I was like, the reality of the industry at that time, there was no female filmmakers that I knew of, especially, those were British Indian, no actresses actually. There was one film, Bend It Like Beckham, and I thought, oh my gosh, like I'm not going to be able to survive. And I was very shy growing up, and I was bullied quite a lot. My self-esteem wasn't great. And I thought, okay, what I'll do is I'll go to university, get a strong academic, degree, because I liked so many different subjects as well. And I loved science and literature. So I was like, I'll do that, get some life experience, and then I'll go back into film and acting when I have a bit more confidence and more experience. So then I decided, okay, I don't know what to do. So I did philosophy and medicine. So I did that at university. And then I kind of forgot about acting because medicine takes over your life, being a doctor, and not in a bad way or a good way. It's just, it just absorbs you and so much time.
It just does, exactly.
Yeah, and then it was really about a year and a half ago. I kind of just took a bit of time out to kind of reconnect with me because I was missing out so much in life, you know, friends' weddings and this and that. And then I remembered, you know, how much I love acting, and I thought, right, now is the time for me to do this because life is so short. And then so I decided, okay, that's enough. So then in my spare time, I went to acting school, which I finished last year. And then I just started getting my own stuff out there. So I do writing and radio work sometimes. And then I wrote my first play last year, which we showed in London, which was fantastic. And I ended up actually combining mental health in my play, which was so fun because it was like two of my worlds together. And
Fantastic.
then, yeah, it was so great. And then this year, I've turned to film. So I'm now just getting loads of different films out there, and they're all about mental health or LGBT, and they all have a lead female lead because women are never leads in films. I never get it. Or they're stereotyped as like a woman role, and I don't want that. Like I want them to have gritty roles. So I always have a female lead. And a woman of color as well. And I try to make them as diverse as possible. So
Good.
one of my films is an all-female BAME cast, which is so exciting. And it actually has LGBT, mental health, perinatal psychiatry, which is pregnancy and mental health, in a really interesting modern horror. So, I mean, there's so many beautiful films you can make, and I really wanted to kind of normalize mental health in film because you know, film nowadays, I mean, mental health in films are so dramatic, like Shutter Island or Joker, which are great films, but this is not mental health. So I kind of wanted to make real life stories about people that we know, but in an interesting platform.
So you're doing this primarily in the UK, of course, obviously working with us and what we do in film now,
Mm.
it's distribution for wherever anyone has an internet connection, which is great. But um, how difficult has it been for you to get the attention of, you know, anywhere in the UK
Yeah.
about these films? Because I know there's some pretty prestigious organizations that have jumped on board with supporting what you do.
Yeah. So last year I kind of didn't know, you know, what to do because I was new to the business, and I think it's harder as a woman and a woman of color. So I was like, I really just had no idea what I was doing, and was just kind of trying to get as much experience. And then this year, I don't know whether it's because I'm in charge of these films, that I'm writing them or producing them, that I feel like I'm taking more of a lead. So I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason in the universe, like Rain Dance, BFI, so the British Film Institute and Rain Dance
Nice.
have contacted me, and I've done interviews, and I've actually done a film with BFI. We've got a lot of attention from the Royal College of Psychiatrists, which is basically our governing psychiatry body in the UK.
Yeah,
And I
that's
know America, you guys have one as well, which is huge, isn't it?
yeah, that's
Uh,
absolutely huge. That's wonderful. That gives you that prestigious, you know, educational and you know, your career yes on what you're doing that adds
yeah.
weight to the project for, you know, other places like streaming platforms.
Yeah. And it means so much to me because I feel like I've got the support from the film industry side, and then also, you know, the medical mental health side, which is so great. And I really, to be honest, would really like the path of mental health in the creative industry much more on that bridge, because I think, especially in mental health, you know, we can't be so formalized as doctors. You know, patients don't want just tablets or to sit in a room with therapy. You know, they need other options, especially, you know, those, you know, adolescents. They need creative workshops, writing workshops, music, drama, art, you know. And
Absolutely.
we have this in the world, and I think we're so privileged, you know, the amount of technology we have, you know, podcasts, films, TV, chats, you know, whatever, IGTV, like we have so much at our fingertips. And I think, you know, the medical world is so frightened sometimes to embrace these changes, but we need to do it because this is the future. And I think if we continue in a traditional conservative route, it is just not going to work. You know, people are getting help they need online. We need to move with it. And I think film, especially, you know, is such a great platform for that. So why not use it to our ability?
I know. I think it's funny as I'm pitching these different shows, and mental health is the hot topic now for film
Mm,
topics. I see it all over Netflix and Hulu, and many platforms, and I see it's there. It's just not necessary. It's just now they're starting to use the words mental health in their descriptors, which is fantastic. However, what I run up against in dealing with, funding sources is they are trying to help me make this, sellable to the decision makers for the funding, coming back and going, well, what is this? Is this educational, or is this they don't quite, so it's like there's that lag of the decision makers looking at mental health work and they don't get it, and they don't know where to put it.
That's weird, right? Because if if you step back and think about all psychological thrillers, all horrors, it's all mental health. Do you know what I mean? And they don't connect the dots.
It's a block. It's a total block. I was asked to change up a sizzle reel that we did, and put in all kinds of PSA, like for number of suicides in men are da 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 da, and if you need help, go to this number, and all that is very important. But I was asked to put it into different spots throughout the episode, and it just broke up the flow. And I had to go back and go, I understand the box that you're trying to fit this in so that it can be sold. However, it's not going to work. It's too jarring. We can put that at the end. We need to have people stay in the show through the whole thing and then see it at the end. So it's just kind of interesting to bring that up, that's what I noticed from some places. It's not quite, they're ready for it. They're ready for mental health work. Obviously, like you just said, it's already been done forever.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit of nervousness around how to do it from anyone that has funding.
yeah, which is so funny to me. Like, I completely agree. I think it's just, I think people sometimes put mental health in a box, and I think that's why they get scared and quite fearful, because they don't want to say anything out of context. But what they don't realize, if they normalize it, everyone has mental health, just like physical health. We all have at times high blood pressure or whatever. And it's the same with mental health. Yeah. And like in every film, you'll have a character that has like an anxiety, that is increasing, or their low mood. It's all there. They just need to realize that they've actually done it, like without
disorder. I mean, it's all there. It's just, it's so funny to me. I love that you just said that about mental health and physical health, because I live and breathe from that place. And I remember watching Lady Gaga, who has done so much for mental health. I'm so thankful for her. And even as she did an interview, she was saying, well, mental health is really serious, and, you've got problems and you've got it. And I kept wanting to say, can we separate that? Because mental health is just mental health. Mental illness is what you're talking about. Yeah. Because that's part of the stigma, is that it gets lumped together in all one thing, and it's not. Neither should be stigmatized. I'm sorry, listeners. It's my soapbox. I know you've heard it before, but it's so true. It's like, to us, this is breathing. This is part of our language. And I worry sometimes, am I so in this bubble that I can't speak to anyone outside of the bubble? Because that's not.
You're not in this bubble. Like, this is like normal language. This is what is normal language.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, talk to us about, I know you did a kind of a rom-com that related to COVID-19. So talk a little bit about Love Bug.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love Love Bug, and it's not even like anything special. Like, it's not a high quality cinema film. It was, okay, so with Love Bug, what happened was, so this was way before lockdown, and my friend is Malaysian, and she's in Kuala Lumpur, and she's a doctor, and she was like sending me all these pictures of all these masks, and I was like, what the hell is going on over there? And COVID had kind of crept up over there before it came to the UK, and before discussions happened here. And she was like telling me kind of what was going on and kind of what was happening, and I thought, wow, like, and discussing with her, I kind of thought, this is going to become a pandemic, this has become a big thing here. So then and she was really kind of in a bad place, and I was on the tube, so it's like our metro, and I'd finished the call with her. I was on the underground, and I was going to a meeting. And when I was on the underground, it just kind of popped in my head, because I was in London. I was like, heart, because it was a Friday, and I thought, a Friday night, how funny would it be? I guess because I just spoken to her that, you know, you have a one night stand with a guy, you wake up and you have symptoms of COVID and you have to self isolate for 14 days. And the guy just wants to get out of the house as quick as possible because it was a mistake. And the girl is like in love with him, you know, infatuated, that kind of funny silliness. And I thought, this is hilarious. So it kind of popped in my head just as I was on the underground, I guess, looking at different people on the tube. And then I came out and I was actually meeting a director that become something completely different. And I rushed in the coffee shop and I was like, I have an idea. We have to make it. And then he was like, oh my God, you're mad. Like, you know, you can't just make a film that quickly. And I was like, no, we have to make this. It's so funny. Yeah. And then he had one day free and it was 5 days later. Literally, I wrote the script that morning. I got a cast and crew, like all together for fun. Like it was free. It was just meant to be a fun sketch. And then we made Love Bug. And it wasn't meant to be anything special. It was just meant to be kind of like a fun film to make. And I sent it to my friend, and it was for me to send to my friends and colleagues because I knew this was going to become something, you know, that we were going to have to deal with. So I kind of just sent it to my friends, you know, who are doctors and nurses. And then it kind of just slowly spread, and then BBC picked up on it, and now it's been going into festivals. So I mean, I really love Love Bug because it was really just a nice incentive to make people laugh, and it's come really at a perfect time in a way, because in this pandemic, I think it's so important to find a bit of humor and to have a moment where you do smile and not take things so seriously, because that's the only way I think we can get through is you know, in humanity. So people have really liked it, especially when they've been going through some issues with COVID. So it's just a nice way to lift you up and put you in a good mood.
Yeah, I loved it. And then talk about your other film, your short, or actually your
Phantoms.
film. Yes.
Yeah, so Phantoms is, I'm really proud of it. So I've been working on Phantoms since January with the director. I had this idea for a film, and we kind of had a meeting in January because I wanted to make a very intense, important mental health film. And then we ended up kind of collaborating, and it became Phantoms. So we've had to push back the filming, but it will be next month. So Phantoms is a short film. It's about mental health, and specifically perinatal mental health. So it follows a story of a woman who's pregnant in a relationship, and something happens in the film where she questions her mental health and her pregnancy. So I don't want to say too much, but I mean, the title gives it away really. So, but
I love that. I love
yeah.
addressing that topic too.
And not only that, it's the LGBT relationship, because you never see films of two women of color, and both women, like all the females are of color. So there's three women, there's a doctor and the two, because you never see these films. And I just thought, why? Yeah. And I thought, let's, you know,
the real world, you know.
Yeah, this is the real world. Like, come on.
People, different beliefs, different
and
religion. I mean, that's reality.
Yeah, and especially the thing is, especially in ethnic communities, you don't even talk about mental health, let alone LGBT. I mean, you do not even discuss it. And it's still a huge, huge stigma. And I thought, come on, like, let's kind of reduce gender stigma, ethnic stigma, mental health stigma, and LGBT all in one film. And it actually goes very well.
Yeah.
And it's in a modern horror. So I thought it's something for film buffs, and it's also for people, you know, out there anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to have the info on that one. Talk to us about Mindset.
Oh, so Mindset. So I actually wrote this last year. It was the first short film script I ever wrote. So it follows, I haven't done anything with it. It's just a script at the moment, but I'd like it to be made with you guys. But it follows a story about a doctor with mental health, because another thing is, nobody talks about their mental health that easily. It's still a huge stigma, you know, and I've heard people say actually to doctors, you shouldn't be a doctor if you have mental health because you'll be unsafe. So there's a lot of stigma, you know, for professionals to actually get the help they need themselves, and to get the therapy and the medication. So it was really inspired because of that. And I think because of my doctor, I just thought, you know, I need to have a film about this. So it follows a female surgeon, because obviously I'm pro women and pro women leads. So it's a female surgeon, and the story kind of starts off, you know, she's performing surgery. She's a great surgeon, you know, she's really on top of things, really resilient. You know, she's that kind of doctor that you would want to be your doctor. Things are kind of happy-go-lucky in the hospital. You know, she's kind of dealing case after case very well. And then suddenly the film kind of pauses because she sees the back of the head of this man, and everything kind of in her world goes destructive because she chases after this man. And then you realize that, you know, it's not this man. And what happens is she goes back home and the house is almost mummified. She's lost her husband. And you realize this woman is dealing with grief, and she hides away from it at work. But when she goes home, and when I say mummified, what I mean is sometimes when you lose someone, you keep their possessions how you found them before they died. And she's not touched anything in the house. And it kind of, the film takes a really sort of slow, sensitive turn, because you just see this woman crumble, this woman who's the pillar of the hospital break down. She's still grieving. So it's really meant to highlight how, you know, one, grief, you know, what you can experience to normalize it, and how we feel like we are so ashamed of it. And when you're at work, you have to carry on, keep calm and carry on. And then the film ends after we've seen her crumble, and it's really destructive when you see it because it's quite emotionally jarring, that she goes back to the hospital with a fake smile. So just like at the beginning again, so it's like this loop. And it's how many people feel about their mental health, actually.
I love it. I'm proud to help with these as much as we possibly can.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad I found you guys. I always say that, but I mean it.
No, I know. And we're going to end up having your podcast on the network as well. So share by the time we have that up. So let listeners know the name of it. Tell us about the podcast.
Yeah, so the podcast is called the Mental Health Book Club podcast. So I've been on it with two others who have mental health, and I come on as an expert. It's been running for 2.5 years, and we won an award from the Royal College of Psychiatrists, and we've actually been invited to Parliament in England to record. So it's done really, really well, prestigiously, and it was great when we went to Parliament because we had politicians talking about their mental health, which I think is so important that the government, you know, acknowledges it as well. So yeah, I mean, it's a lovely podcast. We talk about books of mental health, and then I talk about, you know, kind of breaking down what are the syndromes and mental health illnesses that you can find, and what actually is it, you know, why do you get it, and then kind of like the treatment and management, and then we kind of just have an open discussion, and sometimes we have guests as well coming on, which is exciting.
Fantastic. Say the name of it one more time.
Mental Health Book Club podcast.
Yep. So listeners, look that up. You can find it on YouTube, iHeartRadio. If it's not there, it will be by the time it gets attached to the network, Spotify, all over the place, so that you can check that out. So I'm curious, because I really resisted getting into doing film. In no way am I an actress. The only thing I don't have that skill. I know how to be myself really well, but I don't know how to be someone else. But I still was resistant for all the reasons that one can be resistant about being on camera. But I finally realized, okay, this is a medium that has so much exposure, and isn't that the point of what I do? So we have so much exposure in the podcasting world, and a whole other audience is available that we can help, that, you know, comes from just watching film. That's why I made that leap, but I made it with a lot of hesitation. So for you, I know you wanted to be an actress and so on, but what about film really moved you to maybe get past any insecurities about, you know, all the vain things that go on?
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think for me, it sounds really cheesy, but I feel alive. You know, I feel completely free, because if you think about me, I have to behave a certain way every single day as a doctor. You know, I feel like I'm acting anyway. I have to play a role. And you have to hide lots of your personality, you know, when you're in the healthcare system. so I always feel like I'm somebody else. I always feel like, for me, when people are like, oh, doctor and actor so different, I really don't see it different. You learn a bunch of text and then you play a role and say it, like, and just adjust it.
That's the thing right there. You are, I did not go to college. I was too much trauma and ADHD off the charts. And I know there are plenty of people that have that too, and they made it through school fine, but I did not. So the whole reading lots of text, I'm a good short text reader because I'm in technology and I've been on a computer forever. And boy, do I have the attention in my arms to prove it. But I don't have that ability to read a script. So that is so funny to me. Of course, that's easier for you.
Yeah.
You had to go to medical school.
Yeah, no, I know. I didn't think about it like that. Yeah, that's very true. It is a lot of text. Yeah, and I feel like for me, so for instance, I don't see myself as a typical beauty. Like I'm a normal person, like I'm a normal woman, you know, I'm British female. And for me, like, of course I have insecurities, like we all have it, don't we? But I feel like once I'm on that screen, and of course I get nervous, you know, I completely do. I don't know. I feel like my soul is like splattering everywhere, like full of color everywhere. And it's like, I guess how writers must feel, you know, when they're writing on a book, or how you must feel, you know, when you're doing
thing
your
that
shows.
gives you the va va boom zha zha.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel alive. I feel like I'm on fire. Like it's the best feeling. And all my shyness, all my insecurities go out the window, because for that, you know, for a few minutes, I feel I'm one, you know, with everything. It's a great feeling. And I think when you find your passions, like, I think that's the feeling you get.
Oh yeah, that's how I feel about doing podcasting, about having conversations. I just need to have something where I feel like I'm walking a tightrope, that I could fall to my death. And think of recording it with another person that I don't necessarily know. That adds the tension.
Yeah. The adventure of life. Yeah.
To have interesting conversations. And so that's where and so it doesn't matter if it's in front of a camera or it's, you know, in a sound studio, you know, that's only sound. It's that tightrope tension that helps fuel me to do this thing that I love, which is literally just having conversations.
Yeah. But that's great. I mean,
and then adding in, and listeners, just so you know this, you know, you're the ones who've been here forever with me. You know, I started this network. You went through that whole journey with me doing the network. I didn't know what I was doing. I did 18 million shows about how scared I was and whatever. But the idea was, this isn't just about my voice. I want to, you know, celebrate other voices. And so I'm doing that same thing with film work, whether it be episodic series, documentaries, short films, whatever, the same kind of format, because it's always more fun when you do it with other like-minded folks.
Oh, fantastic. Of course. Yeah.
Well, you know, what do you see in terms of your career as a doctor? You know, how do you see that, you know, weaving in and out?
Yeah, that is something I have been thinking about a lot this year. You know, that's so funny. Do you know why I laugh? Because I am somebody I usually am somebody that has everything planned to the T. And then when I went back into acting last year, it's got thrown out the window in the most beautiful way. So I have absolutely no idea. And that's quite frightening as a doctor to say that. But I have absolutely no idea. I mean, what I would love, in the present moment, just thinking about it, I guess what I would love is somehow to combine my work as a doctor in mental health with film, the way I'm trying to this year, and see if that can continue in that way. Right. And whether I move away clinically, but then actually I'm trying to do all my teaching and academics through film in that way, then I feel like I'm kind of still respecting both sides of what I love. Right. Yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to say is trying to create a path with mental health in film, a doctor in film with mental health. Yeah.
I love that. I love it. Well, I hope that we can help you with all of that. And please tell my listeners where they can find out more about you.
Oh, yes, thank you. So I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook as The Secret Psychiatrist. That's a whole different story why it's The Secret Psychiatrist. I also have a website, which is www.thesecretpsychiatrist.com. So you'll be able to find me on social media and website.
Great. And you know what? I have to know now, and the listeners have to know, what is that story?
Oh, okay. So I started the Secret Psychiatrist. It was about 3 years ago. So I took a year out of medicine just to do writing. And I didn't know what I was writing. And it ended up being all these different poems and articles. And it ended up being stories of a psychiatrist, you know, what it's actually like behind closed doors. And I wanted to put it on a website, but I didn't want to have my name on it. So I thought, okay, I'll be a secret. And then I ended up calling it Secret Psychiatrist because I was thinking about mental health and how psychiatrists themselves, you know, my friends don't come forward if they have mental health, you know, the public, my patients don't want to come forward because of stigma. So I thought we're all in a way a secret. So I ended up calling it the Secret Psychiatrist because of that, to represent all of us.
I absolutely love that. Thank you for sharing that piece too. And thank you so much, Parvinder, for coming on the show. And I'm so glad I know you.
I know. Thank you so much.
And listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mental Health News Radio on Mental Health News Radio Network.
Hi, listeners. I'll make it quick. These are some really cool places that give discounts and other cool things for listeners of Mental Health News Radio Network. If you want to get amazing help with healing from narcissistic abuse, go to healfromanarcissist.com. If you want CBD products that are the best of the best, I use them myself, go to proze.com and use the code mentalhealth20, mentalhealth20. If you want to get daily perk ups that help retrain your brain to think more positively, go to perkupdaily.com. And also, just because this one's fun, snarkycandles.com. I guarantee you'll love them. Snarky with a Y, SNARKY, candles.com. And don't forget, if you want to hear all the shows on the network about first responders, you can go to firstresponder.mentalhealthnetwork.com, and all of our shows that focus on narcissistic abuse, narcissistabusehealingnetwork.com. Thanks for listening, and back to the show.
Sometimes I'm passive aggressive, but never without good intentions. I heat up and act on my emotions.
Thanks so much for listening to Mental Health News Radio. Our podcast can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, and hundreds of other podcast apps, or you can visit our website at mentalhealthnewsradio.com. If you have a question or would like to be a guest, become a podcaster on our network, or join the amazing organizations that help keep us on the air, please email us at info@mhnrnetwork.com. Get ready for that special goodbye from our resident therapy dog, Miles, and a special thanks to Emily Sohn for letting us use her incredible song, Cordial, for our podcast music. Listen to the full song on SoundCloud at emily.sonne.
Don't be surprised when I don't hate on you. After all, we promised we'd be cordial. Sometimes in you I can fight it, but I oppose it.
Good boy.